Hey, have you ever really thought about your online friends? The ones you've never met in person but feel like you know so well. I had a friend like that once. It all started on a small photography forum, where we bonded over our shared passion for old film cameras and vintage shots. His username was Shadow Walker. The name was a little edgy, but I just brushed it off, thinking it was just a quirky choice from a fellow artist, initially. Our conversations were harmless and completely on topic. We'd exchange tips on rare cameras, discuss film development techniques, and gush over our favorite photographers. He had this incredibly deep knowledge, always offering helpful advice and unique perspectives. Before long, we were talking daily. We moved from the public forum to a private messaging app, which felt like a natural step in our growing friendship. Slowly, Shadow Walker started to know things about me. At first, they were small, seemingly random details. He'd message me something like, "I saw a green ice cream truck today. I remember you saying you love that color." I'd just laugh it off, assuming I'd mentioned it in some past conversation I'd forgotten about. Then, one day, I posted a picture on Instagram of a small corner in my favorite coffee shop. It was just an old wooden table with a cup of coffee and a book. I didn't tag the location. A few minutes later, Shadow Walker messaged me, "You must be at the old corner, the little cafe near the library, right? Your coffee looks great." My heart skipped a beat. I had never told him where I went. I tried to convince myself that maybe he'd been there before and just recognized the decor. A couple of weeks later, I complained about my old car having a radiator problem. The very next morning, Shadow Walker sent me a text. "Did you take your car to the garage on Elm Street yet? The mechanic there is really good." Elm Street was nearly 5 miles from my house and in a completely different neighborhood. That garage wasn't my usual spot, and I had never mentioned it. I was stunned and asked, "How did you know that?" He just replied with a winking emoji and said, "I know more than you think. My friend, a cold, creeping dread started to crawl up my spine." I began to re-examine all my social media accounts, searching for any digital breadcrumbs I might have left behind. But there was nothing. He was like a ghost in the machine, existing only as that username. A profound sense of unease started to consume me. I found myself constantly looking over my shoulder whenever I went out. Every time a strange car drove by, the shadows seemed to grow darker. And I realized my own curiosity had led me down a very dangerous path. And then, the worst of it happened. The casual, unsettling coincidences were one thing. The deliberate, horrifying escalation was quite another. I had tried to distance myself, to be less available, hoping Shadow Walker would just lose interest and move on, but that only seemed to make things worse. He became more persistent, his messages more frequent and unsettling. One evening, I was home alone, editing photos from a recent trip. My phone buzzed with a message from him. "That shot of the old clock tower is amazing. The one you just uploaded to your private folder on your computer. The light is perfect." A cold sweat broke out over me. My private photo folders were not backed up to any cloud service. They were on a hard drive that wasn't connected to the internet. How could he possibly know what was on my screen at that very moment? I felt a profound sense of violation, like an invisible entity was peering over my shoulder. I didn't respond. I just unplugged my computer, feeling my hand shake. I was terrified, but the silence from me only fueled his obsession. He started sending me pictures, not of me, but of things that belonged to me. A photo of my car parked outside my apartment building, a slightly crooked mailbox with my house number, a close-up of my front door. Each image was accompanied by a cryptic, chilling message: "You should fix that front porch light. It's been flickering for a week," or "I like the new plant you got. It really brightens up the balcony." My apartment, once my sanctuary, became a cage. I felt like a rat in a maze, with a predator always watching, always a step ahead. The paranoia was constant. I installed security cameras, but he knew. A little late for cameras, don't you think? He messaged me one night, right after I'd finished setting them up. The message included a link to a live feed of one of my cameras, a feed that I had just configured and had not shared with anyone. He had found a way into my network. He wasn't just watching. He was inside my digital life, my home. I decided to confront him. It was a stupid, desperate move, but I needed answers. I messaged him, my hands trembling as I typed, "Who are you? What do you want?" "Stop this now." The response was instant. A single, bone-chilling photo. It was a selfie of me, taken through my laptop camera, just as I was typing the message. I wasn't even aware the camera was on. The photo was a blurry, distorted image of my face. Illuminated by the screen's glow, my expression a mixture of fear and defiance. The caption beneath it read, "I'm the friend you've been looking for. And now, I'm right here with you. Don't worry, you'll see me soon." I threw my phone across the room. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst out of my chest. That's when I heard it, a faint scratching sound, coming from the other side of my front door. It wasn't loud, just a light, rhythmic tapping. Like someone was gently running their fingernails along the wood. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. This wasn't a game anymore, this was real. He wasn't just a shadow on the internet. He was here. The rhythmic scratching on the other side of my door wasn't just a sound, it was an invitation to a nightmare. I scrambled away from the door, my body a bundle of pure, unadulterated fear. The sound stopped, and a moment later, my phone buzzed again. It was Shadow Walker. The message was a single audio file. With shaking hands, I pressed play. It was the sound of a key fumbling in a lock, my key, in my door. A soft click echoed through the recording, and then the creak of my door opening. My blood ran cold. He wasn't just at the door, he was coming in. I didn't wait to see who or what was on the other side. My survival instincts took over. I bolted to the fire escape, fumbling with the latch, and clambered down the rusty metal stairs. The world outside was a blurry mess of streetlights and shadows. I didn't stop running until I reached the police station. I spent the rest of the night recounting the unbelievable, terrifying story to a skeptical but sympathetic officer. They checked my apartment, but found nothing. No forced entry, no signs of a break-in, no one there. The key was in the lock, just as I had left it. There was no Shadow Walker, not in the physical sense. They couldn't find a trace of him on my network or my devices. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only the evidence of my own terrified panic. In the end, I moved. I erased all my social media, changed my phone number, and moved to a new city. I still see my old friends and family, but I'm a ghost online. My digital footprint has been meticulously scrubbed clean, but the fear never really left. The psychological impact of being watched, of having my life laid bare to an unseen stranger, has been profound. I'm still paranoid, checking my locks, looking over my shoulder. Every time I get a notification on my new, carefully secured phone, a jolt of anxiety shoots through me. I still wonder how he did it. How did he get a copy of my key? Was he watching me all along? Was he a hacker, a stalker, or something even worse? I'll never know. The truth is, the scariest part wasn't the physical threat, but the psychological violation. The feeling of being completely exposed, with no place left to hide. Sometimes, the most terrifying monsters aren't hiding under your bed. They're hiding in plain sight, on the other side of a screen. This story is a stark reminder that in our hyper-connected world, our curiosity about strangers online can lead us to a darkness we never thought possible. Be careful what you share, and remember, in the digital age, your online friend might be your worst enemy.